Hi, I'm Liv and welcome back to the Book Nook. Hey guys, so I'm going to try and do this video as quickly as I can, which will be tricky because this is my 2018 most anticipated release list. Now, I sat down and I made a list and it was 20 pages long. Now consider that on each page there's about 3 or 4 books. Tells you how many I'm excited about for this shit, whoopsie. So I've tried to pick sort of one from each page to just go through really quickly. What I will do is I will pop the link to the Google Docs document. Why can't I talk today? The Google Docs doc. In the description below, so you can have a look at all the other ones that I'm really excited about. Firstly, what I do want to mention is And Other Stories are doing the Year of Publishing Women in 2018. They have taken up Shami Chakrabarty's challenge of publishing only women for 2018, which is a really fantastic thing. They're kickstarting it with Anne Quinn's I can't remember the actual title, but it's Stories and Fragments, and it's one that I've got. So check out their catalogue again. I will link that down below because they are publishing some fantastic books by some fantastic authors this year. Sorry, that was just a text from one of the guys at work saying that our copies of Fire and Fury have arrived. Yes! I'm going to go and pick one up later. Yes! So, as I say, I'm going to try and do these as quick as possible. I've picked roughly one from each publisher that I'm really excited about. First one is Women by Chloe Caldwell, published by Fourth Estate in March. This is another one that I feel like I'm going to love because it's along similar lines to Sylvia Brownregg's Pages for You and Pages for Her, and Carol, that sort of thing. It is about a young woman who moves from the countryside to the city and falls in love with a woman who is older than her, and this woman has a long-term girlfriend, and it just looks so much like my kind of thing. Then William Collins are publishing Madeleine Albright's book Fascism, which is a look at fascism in the 20th and the 21st century. Madeleine Albright, of course, the first female US Secretary of State and an amazing woman, and really, really intrigued by this one. Then Faber and Faber are publishing a load of books that I could talk about how excited I am, but the one I'm going to mention is Who is Mary Sue by Sophie Collins. This is one of Faber and Faber's debut poetry collections that they do every year. And Sophie Collins, I've read bits of her stuff in the Penguin Modern Poets, and bits of hers online, and I'm really intrigued by her Small White Monkeys, which is being published by Small Press as well. Bookworks, I think, that I'm going to try and get hold of a copy. Her poetry is just so sort of vital and fresh, and really excited by her first sort of full-length collection. Canongate Bay's Canongate are publishing The Book of Joan by Lydia Yuknovich. Again, this is one that's been really popular in America. I have got, is it The Shape of Water? Her biography, I've completely forgotten the title. But The Book of Joan is a retelling of Joan of Arc. And Lydia Yuknovich, to me, feels like one of those writers. I'm basing this on nothing because I've not read any of her stuff before. But it feels like she's one who would be a favourite author of mine, even though I've not read any of her stuff. Bloomsbury, again, have got a whole list of books that I could talk about that I'm really excited about, but one that I'm going to mention is Peach by Emma Glass, and I'm going to read the blurb for this one because I will not do it justice otherwise. Something's happened to Peach. It hurts to walk, but she staggers home to parents that don't seem to notice. They can't keep their hands off each other, and besides, they have a new infant, sweet and wobbly as a jelly baby. Peach must patch herself up alone so she can go to college and see her boyfriend Green. But sleeping is hard when she's haunted by the gaping memory of a mouth, and working is hard when burning sausage fat fills her nostrils, and eating is impossible when her stomach is swollen tight as a drum. In this dazzling debut, Emma Glass articulates the unspeakable with breathtaking clarity and verve. Intensely physical, with rhythmic, visceral prose, Peach marks the arrival of a visionary new voice. Now this just sounds like a peach of a book. No, but seriously, I'm really excited about that one. The next one from Bloomsbury is The Fire This Time by Jasmine Ward, which I am so excited about. You know that I read recently, within the last 6 months, James Baldwin's The Fire Next Time, and this is a sort of taking up of that mantle of James Baldwin's words and saying we're not in a post-racial society, we're not post-civil rights, there's still lots to do. So it's a collection of sort of essays, poems, bits of memoir as well. I think there's some stuff from some other writers as well, generational voices that are so important, and it's sort of taking on that mantle of saying the fire is now and we have to act on it. So excited for this one. And if you're not, I'll judge you a little bit. Then The Pisces by Melissa Broder is another one that Bloomsbury are doing. And Melissa Broder is so sad today on Twitter. And this is a novel about a woman who falls in love with a man who is half fish. Kind of screwed the punchline there a little bit, didn't I? So it's meant to be sort of wacky and sexy and weird and wonderful, and I already love it and I haven't read it. Then Granta, again, the lovely, lovely guys at Granta. I could go on for ages about the books I'm excited about from them. But Daphne by Will Boast is a novel about a girl who has a condition where if she feels really intense emotions, she becomes paralysed. So she's kept herself sort of quite secluded, but then she falls in love with Ollie. and it's sort of a novel, I think, about sort of self-preservation, letting someone in, about love and fear, and it just sounds my kind of thing. And then also Census by Jessie Ball, which I've been really excited about for a little while. I think it was before Christmas I saw the guys at Granted tweeting about this one, and it is about a guy who gets a diagnosis from a doctor that he's not got long to live, and he is wondering, you know, what is going to happen to his son, because his son has Down syndrome and it's just him to look after him. And he decides to go on one last sort of road trip with his son, so he signs up to be a census taker, and it's this story of him and his son going through sort of various different places taking a census. It's meant to be really sort of beautiful, and I think I've got a copy on the way. Then there are a hell of a lot from Penguin that I can talk about. First one, Florida by Lauren Groff. I loved Fates and Furies a couple of years ago, and this is a collection of short stories about Florida, because Lauren Groff moved to Florida, and it's just sort of a celebration of Florida and a look at sort of the darker sides of Florida as well, and I just loved her writing, so I'm really, really intrigued by this one. Then in February, the guys over at Viking are publishing a book by a woman who's absolutely fantastic, and I've heard her a few times on the Guilty Feminist podcast, and that's Nimco Ali, and this is her book Rude. It's another one where I'm going to read the blurb. Yeah. This book is about vaginas. Fanny, flower, foo-foo, tuppence, whatever you want to call it, almost half of the world's population has one. Sorry, I nearly read as was one. Sorry, that's not has one. Was Jessica Ennis on her period the day she won Olympic gold? What do you do when you're living on your streets and pregnant? What does it feel like to have a poo after you've given birth? We all have questions, but it's not seen as very polite to talk about our Fanny. In fact, it's seen as downright rude. Rude is an important taboo-breaking book that shares the stories of pregnancy and periods, orgasms and menopause from women from all walks of life. From refugee camps in Calais to Oscar-winning actresses to Nimco's own story of living with FGM, each woman shares their own relationship with their vagina and its impact on their life. This sounds like an incredibly important one, and yeah, really excited to see what this one's like. Two sort of poetry books that I'm really, really excited about. The first one is Kaveh Akbar's Calling a Wolf a Wolf. I have been following Kaveh Akbar on Twitter for a year and a bit now. He's so engaging, so thoughtful, so clever. His writing is absolutely beautiful because he posts sort of excerpts from it. And this book has been out in America for a while now, and I have been so desperate for it to come over here, and it's finally happening. And it's a collection that deals with sort of addiction and desire, and it's just, I'm so excited. Then Penguin Classics are publishing a book that I've been dying for them to do something like this for ages, and it's the Penguin book of the prose poem. Prose poetry is something that's always had a special place in my heart as a writer, and I get really weird talking about my own writing, but as a writer, that's always kind of the form I've primarily over the years sort of ended up gravitating towards, and that's the form that my writing has kind of taken. And I'm just really pleased to see somebody like Penguin doing something like this, because I've got a load of anthologies of prose poems, but most of them are sort of American or small presses, so I just think it's something, prose poetry, the prose poem as a thing needs more attention, so hopefully it will get it from this book. And another poetry collection from Chasso and Windus that I'm sure you've seen going around on BookTube is Don't Call Us Dead by Danis Smith. It's one that sort of builds on Black Lives Matter and looks at sort of race relations in America, and is meant to be incredibly sort of heartbreaking and brutal and raw, and I'm just really excited about this one. Then there's a memoir coming out from Jonathan Cape that I feel is probably going to break me, but is necessary, and that's Paper Cuts, a memoir by Stephen Bernard. Again, I'm going to read the blurb for this one. With Paper Cuts, Stephen Bernard boldly tests the bounds of what a memoir can achieve. Living through the trauma of childhood abuse and mental illness, he writes to escape, to confront, to accuse and explain. Every morning when he wakes, Stephen Bernard must literally reconstruct his self. Every night he writes himself a letter to be read the next day. The fractured, intensely personal narrative of Paper Cuts follows a single day in his life as he navigates a course through the effects of mania, medication, and memories. The result is painful, unique, and inspiring. Excited feels like the wrong word for that one, but I think you guys know what I mean. Lovecraft Country by Matt Ruff is finally coming over to the UK. I've seen this on... I've forgotten whose channel it is because my memory is having one of those days. But it's a modern look at a book that really existed, which was sort of like the Safe Negro Travel Guide, which was sort of pre-civil rights era, was a travel guide that had been done for Black Americans to know where they could safely go. And it's a slightly sort of fantastical sci-fi look at that, I think. It sounds really intriguing. Another one that will probably go on #Yob, so quite excited for that one. That was Picador, I should say, and the next two are Picador as well. Fire Sermon by Jamie Quattro and Ponty by Charlene Teo are two that I've heard so much talk about from the Picador Showcase. Alice Slater, Smoking Tofu No G, and Bethany Rutter have been talking about this one, and they've been doing the rounds, and I'm so excited about them. Really, really intrigued by both of them. Then Picador are also publishing Crudo by Olivia Laing, which is her novel. I think it's her first novel, Olivia Laing, who's written The Lonely City and a couple of other non-fiction books. And it looks like, again, okay, I'm going to read the blurb for this one. Kathy is a writer. Kathy is getting married. It's the summer of 2017 and the whole world is falling apart. A goodbye to Berlin for the 21st century, Crudo charts in real time what it was like to live and love in the horrifying summer of 2017, from the perspective of a commitment-phobic, peripatetic artist who may or may not be Kathy Acker. From a Tuscan hotel from the super-rich to a Brexit-paralysed UK, Kathy spends the first summer of her 40s trying to adjust to making a lifelong commitment as Trump is tweeting the world into nuclear war. But it's not only Kathy who's changing. Political, social and natural landscapes are all in peril. Fascism is on the rise, truth is dead and the planet is hotting up. Is it really worth learning to love when the end of the world is nigh? How do you make art, let alone a life, when one rogue tweet could end it all? Olivia Lang radically rewires the novel in a brilliant, funny and emphatically raw account of love in the apocalypse. So my kind of thing. I'm also very much excited for Sight by Jessie Greengrass, which is one that Hodder and Stoughton are publishing through John Murray. A lot of talk has been given about this one. Jessie Greengrass, of course, who wrote Account of the Great Orc by the One Who Saw It or something. Account of the Orc according to the One Who Saw It, Great Orc. AUK, I don't... It's about X-rays, psychoanalysts, and the moderns of... No, and the origins of modern surgery. I cannot talk today. So yeah, I've heard so much stuff about that one that I cannot help but be excited for it. So as I say, there's a huge long list of books I'm excited about. I will post a link down below to the Google Docs document where I've got all of them sort of saved and a bit more about them. Blurbs for any of the other ones I've mentioned. If I've raced them too fast, fair enough, I probably have because I'm trying to do this quick. And there will no doubt be books that I have forgotten about, books that are coming out. There's probably a few here that I've got sort of proofs for that are coming out early this year that I'm excited about that I've forgotten about. But my memory is awful, remember? So have a little chat with me in the comments below about any books that you're excited about for 2018, whether they're ones I've mentioned or not. Is there anything that I've missed that you think I'd be down for? Have a little chat with me about your most anticipated books for the year to come in the comments below, guys. I am now going to go and get my copy of Fire and Fury, and I'm very excited. And my voice just went. Not sure what my next video is going to be. It'll either be a part 1 wrap-up or haul or something. I'm not quite sure. I'm on my second day of 5 days off and I'm already going a little bit stir crazy. Having time off does not suit me, or having too much time off does not suit me. I'm actually going into work this afternoon. I'm about halfway through my January TBR at the moment, which is quite nice, so I may be able to slot some others in there, depends how the rest of the month goes. What are you guys reading at the moment? How's January been so far to you, reading-wise? As per usual, have a little chat with me in the comments below about anything and all sorts. Yes, please, thank you very much. I will be back with my next video. As I say, not quite sure what it's going to be yet. I will decide in due course. So yeah, thanks very much for watching and you'll see me next time. Bye bye!